Randy Moss wants back in the NFL. Kobe Bryant is unhappy with management. And look out, March Madness is on its way. Stay tuned because Sports Talk Live is also on its way next. And welcome to Sports Talk Live. We are your hosts. My name is Nick Rytilahti.
I'm Ben Morrison.
And I'm Jonathon Payne.
All right, guys, let's get started here. As with any time of the year, it's time to talk a little NFL. The Super Bowl is in the past, over 2 weeks away, but it's already time to start looking forward to next season. A few very interesting headlines. Of course, the big one, Peyton Manning. Where is he going to land in free agency, or will the Colts keep him? And more likely, he'll be gone. How does Andrew Luck step in and try to start rebuilding the Indianapolis Colts? I'll talk about a few things I'm interested in. First thing I want to hear, what are you guys interested in?
Well, my biggest thing about Peyton Manning is that he is not going back to Indianapolis. He's definitely going to be somewhere, I wouldn't say AFC. If he was AFC, I'd say Jets. But otherwise, I'd say he's going somewhere in the AFC to stay far away from the Indianapolis Colts.
Really, you think Jets?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get rid of Sanchez. I think Sanchez is there to stay in New York. I think if he goes anywhere, maybe the Chiefs would be interesting because they don't have anything right now. Is Kyle Orton really the answer at the Chiefs? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I've dreamed up this kind of fabricated scenario where Peyton Manning winds up going to Baltimore. You know, the Ravens count their losses with Flacco, say he's replaceable. This defense is old. Let's bring in Peyton right now and give our defense another 2-year window, see what happens. It's very tough to try to figure out where Peyton Manning's going to go. A few things I'm fairly certain of. The Houston Texans are going to continue to improve. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. Matt Schaub will be back. He missed a huge chunk of the year due to injury, and the Texans were successful despite that. They've got playmakers like Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, and one of the top defenses in the league. Texans are going to be tough next year.
Yeah, they definitely will be, but still it's a lot to do with health. I know Mario Williams is out, and they still did really great without him, but obviously he's a beast. And I know that he'll definitely make a huge addition. They have to re-sign him to free agency. And then as well as health is Arian Foster. He was out for a while too, and they still had a good backup there, but definitely needs to stay healthy.
Yeah, even with the health, Matt Schaub was hurt, you know, and big questions there at the quarterback position. Is he still a top-ranked player in the NFL, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. In another team we can look at for next year, the Detroit Lions. Now, here's a team that finally, through years and years of building through this draft, doing it right, assembling talent, they made their push to the playoffs. We were able to see them reach the playoffs. Of course, they faltered there in the end against the Saints, but where do the Lions go from here? How do they mature? Because, of course, they let a lot of personal fouls throughout the season. How are they going to deal with this success?
Well, I think with their success, they need their coaching staff to enforce some discipline with that defense. The defensive line is amazing talent, but they can't control their off-the-field antics, and they're on the field with their committing penalties. And they need help in the secondary, that's for sure, too.
Yeah, they're just missing like one or two pieces, I'd say. And then the Lions, I really think, are definitely emerging. And besides the Packers, I mean, there's not really many other teams in the NFC that can compete with them right now.
San Francisco 49ers, another interesting storyline. Of course, they had a dream season this year. Harbaugh stepping in, commanding that locker room. Alex Smith finally looks like a first-round pick that he was originally slated as. And a nucleus of young talent, especially that front seven on that defense coming back, some key veterans. How do the 49ers come out next year? A lot tougher schedule, of course, but are they going to be as successful?
Definitely. I think they're going to be just as successful at least. I think it was a big move by Harbaugh, definitely, to back Alex Smith up. Let's move on and get a little bit more into the NFC North preview for the draft coming up. Who do you guys like in the first round for the Packers?
Well, for the Packers, they're going to have the 28th pick, so not many people are going to be alive and well still. But since they had one of the worst defenses last year, I think they really need help in the outside linebacker position or anywhere on the D line. They could go with Courtney Upshaw from Alabama, some Jarvis Jones from Georgia. They need a lot of help in that defense to make their offense even more productive.
Yeah, definitely. And when you look at that Dom Capers 3-4 defense, the pressure has to come from the outside linebacker position. They have Clay Matthews on one side. They need somebody to help him out. They could go with either a D lineman or a linebacker. A few names I've looked at: Nick Perry, if he's available, linebacker from USC. 29.5 tackles for a loss and 21.5 sacks in 3 seasons at USC. That would generate some pressure on the other side. Fletcher Cox is a defensive end from Mississippi State. He can play every spot on the line, and you know Dom Capers would like that. Jared Trick, one other name that I came up with, defensive end from Nebraska. A little under the radar because he missed most of the season last year due to injury, but scouts have him ranked very high. He's consistent. He's got great size and versatility.
I would have to agree on a lot of those, but one name that I really liked was Devin Still out of Penn State. He's a big guy, very athletic, and he had 4 sacks last year for Penn State. In the 3-4 defense, they need something, a lot more guys to eat up space and still be athletic. I think they really missed Nick Collins at safety last year. I think that took them a whole year to figure that out, but when you look back at the end, you're just like, wow, they really had a lot of poor tackling without him. Let's move on to the Vikings. What do you guys think about their first-round choice?
Well, the Vikings, I think, need a lot of help. Obviously, with that 3rd pick of the draft, they did not have a good year at all. Mel Kiper Jr. has them taking Matt Khalil, the offensive tackle from USC. I think that's a great pick for their offense to stabilize something. And maybe Blackman's an option for the wide receiver position. They need some offensive weapons.
Definitely. Something tells me that the St. Louis Rams are going to take Khalil, and he's not going to be available there at the 3 spot. And if that be the case, I could see Blackman, but I also could see Morris Claiborne, corner out of LSU, not the Honey Badger. He's a very versatile young cornerback. Antoine Winfield is not getting any younger in that Vikings secondary. And, boy, this Vikings secondary was awful. They were last in the league in opposing quarterback rating, percentage of passes that went for first downs, and they were last in interceptions with only 8. They need a lot of help.
Like you said, Morris Claiborne, I agree with that a lot. I think he's Champ Bailey type corner, could be good for several years to come. And like you said, Winfield's about 35 years old. He's had injury problems. And how about this? They draft a head coach. I like Bill Cowher. I always see him on the CBS talking stuff, and I'm like, well, Vikings need to do something, draft him, pick him up.
They might need some help in the front office as well. Let's move on now to the Chicago Bears, a team that looks solid but kind of faltered down the end, especially thanks to injuries. What are the Bears targeting here in the draft?
I think they have an aging line, and that's where they need to really look at. I think they could take Riley Reif out of Iowa. They've also had really less than productive wide receivers. They need someone that Jay Cutler can throw it to, potentially Michael Floyd from Notre Dame. I know they had too many penalties on the offensive line, so they need to cut that down too.
Yeah, I see Michael Floyd out of Notre Dame. Cutler's throwing to nobody. You know, he's got Earl Bennett, Johnny Knox, and Devin Hester. You know, and he was great when he had Brandon Marshall in Denver. So Cutler needs some help. I could also see him maybe taking Andre Branch out of Clemson, a defensive end. The Chicago has to improve on their defensive line. Last really quick note here. Give me a name, guys. Who do the Lions take with their first pick?
I think they need to take the strong safety out of Alabama, Mark Barron, because of their terrible secondary.
Ben?
I don't have a name, just going defensive back.
Defensive. Okay, absolutely. Before Green Bay can get to the NFL draft, they have a few other issues they need to address. Namely, should they franchise tag Matt Flynn? There's been a lot of talks that they should. Do you think that's a good decision?
I'm going with a no. I think, obviously, Flynn has been very respectable, and he's been saying all the right things. I was actually at the media press conference afterwards with Flynn, and I was at the media press conference with Flynn afterwards, and he spoke. He had nothing to say about himself. He was all about the team. Very selfless player, and I just think he's done everything right, and you should reward him by letting him see what else he can do.
Yeah, I think Flynn is too expensive. Why would you waste the money on him? But a great one is Finley. Finley's a steal at the tight end position with $5.5 million is all that they need to pay him. I think that's where they need to actually focus their attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you guys. Bottom line is the salary cap's $120 million. Packers already have $113 million tied up for their roster, so there's just not theoretical, realistic room to sign him to that franchise tag. Another issue that I think is huge for Green Bay, they have